Toastmasters, fellow members and most welcome guests. Once upon a time, in the 9th century, the east of Europe was a wild place, a cold place, a vast empty forest teeming with wolves and bears, and populated by warring tribes, the Krivichs, the Vespians, and the Chuds, amongst many others. And all these tribes spent their time fighting and killing each other, for all that's worse. Until one day, somebody said, "Let us seek a prince who will rule over us and judge us according to the law." And so an emissary went to another land up north, the land of the Vikings, and went to tell them, "Our land is rich and beautiful, but disunited. Come to reign over us." While other Vikings were busily invading and pillaging Britons, Rurik the Viking came with 2 brothers and hundreds of warriors to bring order amongst the tribes. He had to fight along the way, build cities and castles, and some of his followers even went as far as the great city of Constantinople that was lying in the far south, a city that is today known as Istanbul. The first contact between the Viking warriors and the Byzantine Empire was far from peaceful. The Byzantine Emperor Michael was actually far away at the time and could not defend his city, and so the Vikings descended upon it and pillaged monasteries. They took 22 monks, brought them aboard ships, and proceeded to cut and hack them apart in pieces, and they threw the remains in the sea. Thus was the first contact between the 2 nations. But undeterred, the Byzantines said, "Seek to bring peace to the land," and sent emissaries up north to convert these new barbarian heathens. Meanwhile, Rurik passed away, and his son, Prince Oleg, took over a hill fort next to a great river and decided to build a city there, the city of Kiev, that still stands today. The Kievan Rus was born, named after the invaders, the Rutsis, the men who ruled. In 972, Kievan Prince Vladimir the Great took all of his people of Kiev with him and brought them to the Dnieper River. Together they kneeled in the water and were all baptized together as Eastern Orthodox Christians. The wild barbarians had been turned into a peaceful, civilized people. The city of Kiev was now at the crossroad of all the trade routes of Eastern Europe, going from south to north and from east to the west. Fur, honey, beeswax, grain, and many other commodities made the city of Kiev really rich. Imagine yourself for an instant. You are a Kievan in the 11th or 12th centuries. You are living in Europe's most advanced state. You are very likely to be literate, and amongst your possessions will be pieces of beech bark that you will be writing upon. If you are a child, you might draw on them. If you are a woman, you may admonish your husbands on them. And if you are a man, perhaps you as a wise learned person, you will be debating the merits of Greek philosophy and literature on them. This very same evening, other wise men are consulting the Ruskaya Pravda, the code of law, to judge some thieves and murderer. There is no death penalty in the Kievan kingdom, and chopping the hands of thieves is something only these barbarians in the West, in England, France and Germany, do. However, the Principality of Kiev had one major weakness. It was not a kingdom per se, more a federation of principality who actually often squabbled and fought amongst each other. And all the while, in the 11th and 12th century, these squabbles and struggles became ever more frequent. A great Game of Thrones had begun. And on the horizon laid a menace. For our sins, unknown nations came to us. We did not know whence they came and where they are from. The Mongols had arrived. The Mongol invasion of the Principality of Kiev was swift and brutal. In 1240, the city was besieged and was soon no more. 50,000 inhabitants gone in an instant. Travelers who walked amongst the ruins of Kiev many years later described the scene as, in the empty, deserted streets, we found mountains of skulls and bones. The greatest and richest city in Eastern Europe was no more. All the various squabbling princes bent the knee and submitted to the Mongol Khan. The Golden Horde was born. But the story does not end there. A small group of refugees migrated up north, deep into the forest, and came next to another hill fort by another great river. Many years later, Daniel Alexandrovich would mold these refugees into a new state, the Great Principality of Moscow. The Muscovites would eventually push the Mongols backward, became the Russian Empire, and would eventually invade and hold the very Mongol heartlands themselves. Today one can say that the Viking created Russia. But Kiev is not a Russian city. It is a Ukrainian city known as Kiev, Mat, Gorodov, Ruskik, Kiev, the mother of all Russian cities. Ukraine and Russia are two countries separated by a common ancestry. Remember this next time you see the news. And perhaps their leaders should remember that brother should not fight brother, and insects seek to restore their lands to the glories they had thousands of years ago. Madam Toastmaster.